So when we have the Minister of Labour Productivity announced, which is supposed to mediate in such issues with regards to employers and employees, whether domestic or international, what would you say should be the primary, the main focus, the main attention, as in once they hit the ground running, this is the first thing we should do just before, in order of priority, if you'd like?
If it's very possible, to overhaul the Nigeria Labour Congress. Now, if we don't have enough time, I could tell you, I could pinpoint out to you about 10 different laws or acts within the Nigeria Labour Congress that has been outdated. For example, an employer paying 500 naira for ill-treating, maltreating, brutalizing a candidate, an employee, and many of such things. If the NLC, I mean, they've drifted. I'm saying this categorically, and I stand to be corrected. They've drifted away from their core responsibilities of protecting Nigerian workers than to begin to pursue. They're now becoming more or less like a political association. Now, we shouldn't be. Now, we have a lot of Nigerian workers that need to be protected. They're not being protected. Even if you train people, they have the right skills and experience, and they don't have the right employer to work with because of the internal bureaucracy and everything that happens in there. What's going to happen? The president may have all the will and all the utilities and everything, mechanism to create jobs. But if the right jobs are not there, who's going to do the jobs? Then obviously it becomes fruitless.
So what are the policies from the previous administration that you think that the new minister, when he comes in for labour and productivity, for instance, will be able to leverage on?
Obviously, skill acquisition, which is quite key. Skill acquisition is quite key. Now, also, we need to begin to look into the areas of curating more enabling environment for people who want to develop some other skills as well. Now, if we don't have those enabling environments in place, then we'll keep streamlining ourselves on what we've been doing in the last decades or 100 years ago. Now, we need to begin to be creative. We need to begin to be proactive in what we do. So if the new minister comes in, honestly, look straight into the activities and all the functionalities of the NLC and to find a way how to protect, not just protecting the investors or the employers, but also the Nigerian workers as well. We've had many cases whereby employees or staff has suffered death and some other things that obviously, and just been swept under the carpet, some of them, because there's nobody to champion the cause of these people, which is absolutely unacceptable.
Well, let's take a quick break, Mike, and when we come back, we'll talk about the strategies, to put in place put in place by the president with regards to creating jobs, whether for the formal or informal sector.
Sure.
Business Morning continues in just a moment. The conversation with Mike Adele continues after this. Glad to have you back. Mike Adeleye, Human Capital Development Consultant, is still here with me in the studio as we continue to talk job creation. Thank you so much, Mike, for sticking around. So just before we went on that break, you made some points with regards policies and actions that should be leveraged on, and you talked about skill acquisition. Now, looking at some of those figures, while we went on that quick break, we see that the working population is about 103,567,000, and those who are working about 74,010,000, and those not in the labor force about 29,557,000. What would you say, based on your ideas with regards to skill acquisition and creating an enabling environment for even those who want to work outside of the formal sector? What strategies do you think should be put in place to encourage these ones?
Again, it's a government policy. When we're talking about skills, it's not just one or two, it's multi-skills. Now, for example, look at our IT environment, for example. Now, we are really short of IT skills people in this country, if I may use that. Now, what the government, I think, should do is, obviously, we have a lot of organizations, for example, and institutions in the country who are IT specialists, as in academy in the country. The government should be part of it. And they've been doing this, and they should continue to do that, be focused in that direction as well. Pump more money into it. Subsidize this training for people to go in, obtain those skills. Get a lot of stakeholders on board and say, okay, now, you register, obviously, you've got to be properly monitored, or else there's going to be a lot of loopholes, people start finding money here and there. Now, they have to, obviously, create that environment. I mean, spend the money, they have a budget for it, and begin to subsidize most, not just IT, music, sports. If you look at our sporting activities, I mean, I laugh sometimes when we go out to carry out all these sporting activities, and we lack a lot of skills, and it's something that we could develop here as well. Put the money in there. Look at the entertainment industry. The last administration, obviously, well, thankfully to them, they're pumping some money in there to grow that industry. And the only reason why they did that was because they began to realize that it's a money-making machine industry. So they put the money in there. Similarly, you could do that into sports as well. Put money into music. Put money into language. Language is not just, we used to say in those days, mother tongue is English. There are multi-skills in people understanding, speaking different languages. You could speak German, you could speak Chinese, and so on and so forth, which are where the economy of the world is focusing towards now. So if we can speak all those languages, we could have people to train in, put money into that as well, get people to train in, our technical skills, technical education, put money into it, then we begin to see a total turnover of the underskilled and the underemployed that we have in society.